I want to take a poll. How many of you prefer to watch the movie at home versus the theater? If you like to watch a movie at home, let me know. Raise your hand. Okay, how many of you prefer the theater? Okay, it's a mixed audience. All right, we're about half and half. I got to be honest with you. I would prefer to watch a movie at home. Now, I know for those that are enthusiasts that love the movie, they love the experience, just the ambiance and everything that goes with it. There's just something about it for those that just, it's a great experience. Just getting in that big chair or whatever it is in the theater, getting the popcorn, the candy, and just the environment and the smells and all that. But for me, there's a couple of really key reasons why I don't like watching the movie at a theater. I prefer my home. First, I get to sit in my own recliner or my own couch. I don't sit in a chair that thousands of other people have sat in. And I don't know where they've been or what they've done. And so I get to sit in the comfort of my own home. I can put the lights as bright or as dim as I want. I can control the volume. It can be as loud or as soft as I want. Another big reason that I prefer my house versus the theater is the food's a lot cheaper. I mean, let's just be honest. When you take a family of 4, I've just come to the conclusion when we go to the movies, it's going to cost me $100. And it's crazy when you think about that. Because I got kids and I got boys and they're growing and they eat a lot. And so when you go to the movies, it's like, Dad, I want popcorn. I want this. I want that. And, my wife and I, whether it's right or wrong, I'm like, what can you get in your purse? I'm sorry. I'm being honest. But it's cheaper. And I get to pick the snacks that I want, and I can make sure my popcorn's fresh. It hasn't been sitting there for who knows how long. But probably the biggest reason that I prefer watching a movie at home versus in the theater is I can press pause anytime that I want. I don't know how many times I've gone to a movie with my wife, and we've been sitting in the theater, and I'm shaking my leg because I got to go to the bathroom. And it's like, I can't go because I don't want to miss this. And my wife's like, stop. And I'm like, but I can just press pause and I can get a refill of my popcorn. I can get more to drink, whatever it is. I can press pause. I can stop the movie at any time that I want. And I don't have to worry about disturbing anyone else. I can ask a question to my wife and nobody's going to be like, shh. If I didn't get something or I missed something or if she missed something, we can actually talk about it. But how many of us would like to press pause on our life? And I know the answer. Every one of us have been in a season where we just wish that we could just take that remote and press pause and stop everything around us. Maybe it's a season where you find yourself in a tragedy. Something totally and completely unexpected. You didn't see it coming. Nobody prepared you. The warning signs weren't there. You were caught off guard. Maybe it was something at work. It brought extra stress, extra responsibility. People were looking at you. The target was on your back. If I could just press pause, if I could just stop, if I could just breathe for just a moment. Maybe it's in a relationship. It's not going the way that you expected. You had envisioned something totally different than where you are. And if you could just press pause, if you could just step back, if you could take a breather, if you could just, let me just sit for a moment and just, let's be honest, rest. When I ask people how they're doing, I get a couple of answers. Fine. I'm fine. Fine means a lot in somebody's life if you don't know it. Or good. Life's good. Really? Because your face says something different to me right now. Or the best one that I hear is, I'm living the dream. I'm just living the dream. And I started telling people when they asked me, I'm living the dream or the nightmare, depending on how you look at it. But you've been there. We've all been there where we've asked somebody that question or we've been asked that question, how are you doing? See, we started a series last weekend, Fresh Starts, Do-Overs, Second Chances. And for most of us, we have had moments or seasons in our lives where we wish we could do exactly that. That we could press pause, stop where we are, stop what is going on around us, and I just want to do it over. I just want a second chance. I just want somebody just to believe in me the way that I believe in myself. I want somebody to look at me the way that I look at myself. And so we began from the very beginning last week, starting in Genesis chapter 1, looking at the beginning when God created everything. And we saw that in the beginning that God was not alone, that Jesus was there in the middle of all of creation and everything that began. And that you and I, especially those that are followers of Jesus, that we should anchor our life to him and that we should trust him. That he is orchestrating things around us that are bigger than we could ever imagine or even dream of. And then you come out of verse 3 into verse 4 and you begin to see creation unfold. And God begins to create everything around us. He takes nothing and makes something. And he begins to separate it from darkness and light. And he begins to give us an example of life. That in life there is darkness and there is light. And then he begins to unfold and begins to create everything that we see, everything that we experience. And we see that it happens within 6 days. Succinctly, he just goes and he creates. And what you and I look at every single day is really a masterpiece. A masterpiece that for so many of us catches us in awe of, wow, I can't believe that that was created. I can't believe that that has happened. Just a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to be back in Nepal, and while I was there, I got to do this once-in-a-lifetime experience. I got to ride an elephant. And it wasn't like I was on a track or something like that, or a trail. It was a wild elephant. Let's go into the jungle on this elephant. And I didn't know what to expect. There was this excitement that was in me, but yet I was nervous. And when the instructor said, look, I need you to just step off this platform onto her back into the basket and just hang on. And he literally meant hang on. But I was in awe of this creature that I'm sitting on that's thousands of pounds that could crush me. And then he begins to tell us that, hey, be on the lookout. You're going to see wild rhinos and tigers and leopards. I'm like, yeah, we are. This is going to be awesome. But I was nervous and I was scared, but I was in awe of this jungle. I was amazed of all this creation and beauty that was around me. And we see that unfolded in the pages as he begins to create the world before us. And if you really step in and you look at it, you should be amazed. But then comes the seventh day. And what we discover on the seventh day is that God does something that so many of us struggle with. He presses pause. He stops. And it says that he rests. If you have your Bibles, we're going to be in Genesis chapter 2. And we're going to be starting in verse 1. See, we're talking about something that's probably the most important thing that you and I need in our lives, and we don't even realize it. It's rest. It's specifically the kind of rest God modeled for us right here in Genesis 2. That after creating everything, that God took a break, not because he was tired, but really to set an example for you and for me. And so listen to what it says in Genesis 1 through 3. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing, so on the seventh day, he rested from all of his work. Then God blessed the seventh day, and he made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. Why is rest so crucial? Why is it so crucial? And I'm not talking about the rest that so many of us long for and seek. The rest that so many of us experience is, I'm going to go on vacation. But if your vacations are like my vacations, they're jam-packed with activities to do. I really don't rest when I'm on vacation, because usually I'm going somewhere that I've never been before, and going somewhere that I've never been, what do? I want to experience it. So it's hard to rest when I'm in the middle of experiences. But we discover here that rest was crucial. And why is it crucial? After all the creating, after everything that had been done, he took the seventh day off. And it wasn't just to take a break, but it said that he made that day holy. He made it holy, that you and I should take that day and we should rest. In Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11, God tells us to remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. And he's serious about taking a day off. You see, God's idea of Sabbath, a day of rest, it's a gift that helps us to reconnect with him. Sabbath is a gift. Rest is a gift. And if you are not resting, you are not experiencing that gift. If you're not resting, you're not experiencing the gift. It's not about stopping work. It's about setting time to reflect and to appreciate all that God is, and to appreciate all that God has done, even if we can't see it. The ideal goes beyond merely pressing pause in our daily grind or taking a break from our usual activities. It's about intentionally carving out space in our lives and dedicating that space to being mindful and grateful to God's creation and his blessings around us. It's about stopping, and you've heard the phrase, smelling the roses. Just stop for just a moment. And I know, because our minds are flooded with so many other things, so many distractions and things that we think that we have to do, good things. I'm sure that they're all good things. For some of us right now, we're already thinking about what we're doing after church, the places we've got to go, the people we got to meet. Or for some of us, we're already carving out, I'm taking a nap. That's my main objective today, is to take a nap. But to really carve out intentional time. Imagine pressing the pause button for your week, a moment where you step back from the busyness of life around you and you truly begin to see the beauty and the wonder of God. And not just the wonder of God, but the wonder of all that he has done. It's really about you and I shifting our focus. Shifting our focus from the demands and the distractions of the world and being just inspired. Being inspired. When's the last time that you were inspired by God? When was the last time that you just sat there with your mouth open wide, just like, I can't believe this. God, you would show up and you would do this? I can't believe it. See, now the Sabbath isn't just about kicking back and relaxing. Jesus explains in Mark 2:27 that the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. It's a gift. It's a gift for us. It's a chance to pause and reconnect with God. But the reason that most people don't experience rest is because they're being crucified between two thieves: the regrets of yesterday and the worries of tomorrow. Listen to that and let it sink in. The reason most people don't experience rest is because they're being crucified between two thieves: the regrets of yesterday and the worries of tomorrow. That's simply saying Jesus isn't enough. That his finished work on the cross wasn't enough because I'm concerned about the things that happened yesterday. Those regrets, the things that I missed out on, the mistakes that I've made, they've captured my thoughts, my time, and my attention. Or the worries about tomorrow, the things that are out of my control. I'm worried about it instead of in the moment and fully experiencing Jesus for who Jesus is and the work that he did on the cross for you and for me because of his love for us. It's a second chance. It's a do-over. Because as we'll discover later in Genesis, when man fell flat on his face, he gave us a second chance. But to truly say Jesus, you're enough. You are enough, no matter where I've been, no matter what I've done, no matter what's been done to me. You're enough. When you and I begin to take time and we allow ourselves to be still, to be quiet, creating room for God to speak to our hearts, something begins to change. It's a chance. It's a chance for us to reflect on His goodness, His grace, and His countless ways of providing for us. This intentional time of reflecting, I think it helps us to begin to cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude. And it ultimately begins to strengthen our faith, reminding us of who God is. In Psalms 46:10, it says to be still and to know that I am God. Be still. It's hard to be still, at least for me it is. It's hard to just, I'm going to step away and I'm going to step outside of the busyness of life, all the things that I've got to do, the to-do list of the things around the house that I want to finish, the things that I'm reminded of that are broken, that need my attention. My kids, they need me, they require me, and the time and the attention and the effort that it takes, the sacrifice that I have to make for them. My wife, she needs me to be there, to step in, to fill the gap when something's missing. And even here as a pastor at the church, there's something always fighting for my attention. And so I can rationalize and I can begin to settle with this idea that it's okay to be busy because it's a good busy, it's good work, it's good things. I'm accomplishing great things. But if I'm on empty, what good am I to myself or to anyone else? And so many of us, we run our lives on empty. If you were to look at the gauge of your life, it's just teetering there and the tank is almost empty. And you feel it. And so when I talk about rest and you and I experiencing rest and experiencing the goodness of God, it's more than just stopping the things that you're doing. Because we can stop everything and we can take a nap and we can take a break and still not feel recharged, rejuvenated, or energized. We can still feel empty. I've taken those breaks where it's like, I thought this was going to help. It didn't change anything. I still feel the same way that I did a week ago, a month ago, 6 months ago. I still feel the same. Nothing has changed. Taking time to be still, it helps us to remember who's in charge. It helps us to remember who's in charge. It gives us a chance to step back from the chaos and to reconnect with God. Finding rest in Jesus by you and I practicing the Sabbath or pressing pause on life, it's profound. It's transformative. But it requires discipline that allows us as individuals to reconnect with our faith and to refresh our spirits and to experience ultimately deep peace. See, Jesus, he emphasized the importance of rest and communion with God. And so observing the Sabbath, it actually involves several key elements. First, ceasing from work. Don't take work home. I know, we've all done it. We've all taken the things that we do all day, that 8 hours that we try to cram in as much as we possibly can, and there's never enough time, and so we take it home. And I learned this from my wife. It'll be there tomorrow. I promise, it will be there tomorrow. Because even if you take home and do the work that you've got to do, something else will be there tomorrow. There's a reason that you cease the work that you're doing. The core of Sabbath or rest is observing and taking a complete break from your professional or even your household task. It's ceasing everything and stepping back from the busyness of life. It's creating space for spiritual renewal. Ceasing from work, worship and reflection. Worship and reflection is something that should go far beyond just what you and I do here on Sunday mornings. Worship is something that we should live out every single day of our lives, worshiping our Creator, the God who sent His Son to die for us, worshiping Him and thanking Him for who He is, for His goodness, that no matter what is going on in my life, that I can say that He is good, that He is faithful, that He is always present, that He never leaves me or forsakes me, to truly worship Him, to reflect on that goodness, to sit in awe of it, to discover the work that He is doing around me that so often I miss because of my busyness. So worship and reflection, spending time in worship and prayer, reading Scripture, it deepens your relationship with Jesus. Reflecting on God's Word and His promises, it provides nourishment for your soul. And it also provides encouragement. So ceasing from working, worship and reflection, community and family, doing life with people. I hope that you love your family. And I know our families at times, they annoy us, if we're going to be honest. You've been annoyed. I've been annoyed, but I still love my wife. I still love my kids. I still love the people that I get to do community with. There's nothing that they can do that's ever going to stop me from loving them. And the same thing is true when it comes to God. There is nothing that you are going to do that's ever going to stop Him from loving you. So experience community and family. There are people that are in your corner, that they've got your back. They want to be there for you. You have to let them. You have to let them in. But we're afraid to let people in because if people see the true me, what will they say about me? Wow, I look just like you. My life looks just like your life. I've gone through the same struggles. I've faced the same challenges. I've had moments where I felt hopeless and despair. They would look just like you. It's important that we experience community, time to connect. And the last is rest and recreation, engaging in restful and recreational activities, things that fill you up, not things that drain you or empty you. What fills you up? What energizes you? What makes you feel the presence of God? Well, for some it's, as Brett said a couple of weeks ago, a nap and a snack. It really helps. For me, I love to be out on the baseball field. There's just something about it. For others, it's draining. For me, it's energizing. It's electric. It fills my tank in a way that I couldn't feel it otherwise. Whatever it is, whether it's taking a walk in nature, enjoying a hobby, simply resting, these activities, they refresh your mind and your body. See, pressing pause on life in a fast-paced world, one that we live in, and intentionally pressing that pause on life, it demands that we find rest in Jesus. And here's some ways that I think you can begin to effectively press pause. Because Jesus invites us, all who are weary and burdened, to come to Him for rest in Matthew 11:28. And so by practicing rest and pressing pause on life, believers can experience this. They can experience a renewal. Physical rest and spiritual nourishment lead to holistic renewal, preparing us to face the challenges of life. And life can be challenging at times. No matter how much we try to foolproof life, it can still be challenging. And when we practice the Sabbath, we can begin to experience renewal. We can deepen our relationship with God. We can foster a deeper connection with Him when we spend true time with Him, time beyond just here. Getting into His Word and beginning to just soak it in and allow it to speak life over you. And then what happens, you begin to speak life over others because He has filled you up. He has nourished you. He has given you the bread of life. He has taken the hunger that is in you and He has satisfied it. It deepens your relationship with God. And it cultivates ultimately joy and gratitude. See, taking time to reflect on rest, it helps us to cultivate a heart of gratitude and joy, recognizing God's blessings and his provision. But yet we live in a world so often that values productivity over peace. So finding rest in Jesus through the Sabbath and intentionally pressing pause, it's countercultural to the way that we live. Now, work more, gain more, accomplish more, get more recognition, more of this, more of that, more. Get more, and when they're done with you, they'll just move you aside and they'll get somebody else that can get them more. To find rest, to look to him. As believers, we should live a life that has space for rest, that is intentional to set it aside and say, you know what? I'm disconnecting. There's a difference between isolation and solitude. Isolation means that I just want to hide from everything. I want to hide from everyone and get away from everything. Solitude means I want to sit back and I want to reflect on who God is and what God is doing and how God is working in my life and those around me. Solitude is recognizing who God is. Isolation is I don't care about anything else or anyone else other than myself. I don't know where you are. I don't know what you're carrying today. I don't know what it is that's keeping you from finding rest. I don't know what it is when God says, I worked really hard for 6 days and I created all this, everything that you're experiencing. And on the seventh day, I took it and I rested. I called it Sabbath because it was holy. And I set it apart to be different than every other day. When's the last time you just set a day apart to experience the goodness of God? Will you pray with me? Father, Lord, it's easy to talk about, hard to do. There's a lot of things in life that are fighting for our attention. Some really good things, and some things that are just okay. But there's nothing in this world that will ever fill us up, that will satisfy us the way that you will. And so, Father, I pray that maybe today we're here and we're saying, you know what, I've tried this in the past, and for whatever reason, it's no longer a habit in my life. Maybe today is the second chance. Maybe today is the day that we say it's time for a do-over. It's time to set aside the excuses of why we can't and start believing why we can. Start confessing that you are enough. That nothing in this world will ever satisfy us the way that you do. That as people, we will always disappoint and let people down. But you are always faithful. You never leave us and you never forsake us. That you are always there, that you always show up. And you are a God of second chances. So, Father, it's my prayer that you move and you speak, and today that we will respond. That your word is active and it's alive. And it speaks to the very depths of the core of our being today. And it brings transformation. So that when we leave this place today, we look less like us and more like Jesus. Because it's in his name that I pray.